What's it like to marry a cold-blooded femme fatale? Is it like dancing with wolves, dangerous and thrilling? Or is it living in constant fear, unable to sleep at night? I've been married to my wife for 5 years, yet she never stops plotting against me. The day our relationship fell apart, she actually wanted me ruined. She had me and a young girl booked into a hotel room, spiked our drinks, and then brought in reporters to catch us in the act. I was left speechless, forced out of my own home with nothing. In the end, I mysteriously died in a car accident. But what they didn't know was that the so-called young girl was none other than Vivian's daughter, a woman who dominated both the underworld and the upper class, a true femme fatale. After my death, she went on a killing spree, her bloodshot eyes full of rage, before ultimately taking her own life. And then I was reborn back to that fateful night, Chapter 1. I woke up to a pretty unfamiliar face close to mine. Her dizzying breath against my ear, the tingling sensation spread all over my body. I shook my head forcefully, but the dizziness wouldn't go away. The dim light around me and the half-naked woman in front of me made my head spin. As she clung to my waist, the temperature kept rising, and my body burned with fever. Reborn to this moment, the temptation was overwhelming. Sinful desires taunted what little reason I had left. The next second, she suddenly opened her eyes and locked eyes with me, which made me snap out of my daze. I hurriedly said, "Wait, I can explain." I tried to stay calm and pulled the blanket over her, continuing, "Someone drugged us, trying to frame me, miss. We're both victims here." She lazily glanced at me, then looked down at her body. Her face immediately flushed red. Panicking, she buried her head in the blanket, leaving only her beautiful eyes peeking out. She shouted, "Liar! I know you're the one who drugged me. You waited until I woke up to say this. Get out of here now, or I'll call the police." I raised my left hand and showed her my wedding ring, with a bitter smile. "Wait a minute. A woman will break down the door with a camera. If you don't believe me, just wait and see." She frowned at me, then fell silent. I staggered to my feet, threw on my pants and shirt, grabbed my phone, and hurried out the door. I took the elevator downstairs, and was almost out when I spotted my wife, Sophia, anxiously standing at the front desk, talking to someone. The man standing next to her was none other than my best friend, Marcus. At that moment, he reached out and casually draped his arm over her shoulder. Chapter 2. Sophia and I went from university classrooms to the wedding hall. For a long time after we got married, we were the perfect couple, loving and respectful. Sophia's favorite thing to do was show off our love on social media. From the dishes she cooked for me to the holiday gifts I carefully prepared for her, she constantly shared sweet moments between us, letting everyone know how much she loved me. At that time, I only wanted to make sure she didn't suffer in life, to fulfill my promise of providing for her future. I worked tirelessly, even ruthlessly, for success, willing to do anything to make money. Everyone thought I had it all, a successful career and a virtuous wife. Even I, lulled by comfort, slowly lost my guard and became complacent. What I didn't know was that Sophia was the true cold-blooded femme fatale. She meticulously planned the whole catching me cheating scheme, starting with the deep feelings of a loyal wife and ending with the actions of a heartless man. The humiliating memory of that day was now a shattered piece. A work dinner, Marcus's treasured bottle of wine, the look he gave his female colleague, the unrefutable toast, and the bold woman who walked into the wrong private room and immediately punished herself with 3 shots. It was just a small glass of wine, yet that night I nearly blacked out. All I remember is desperately craving the scent of a woman's pale white body, even when the door was kicked open and Sophia slapped me across the face. I felt numb, indifferent. It felt like an absurd dream until I woke up, and then the war began. Chapter 3. Photos and videos scattered across the internet, thousands of comments begging for more images. The pressure of public opinion and online abuse cost me my job, one that I had fought for years to build, and the marriage I cherished the most. The harsh reality didn't give me a chance to regroup. A sudden car accident took my life away. In my dying moments, I saw Sophia in my best friend Marcus's arms. There was no sign of sorrow on their faces. Marcus leaned over, squatted down, and smirked as he shut my eyes with his hand. His voice was hoarse as he whispered, "I set up the whole thing. Didn't expect you to wrap it up so quickly. What a bargain for you. How laughable." He had been with me since he was an intern. I took him under my wing, step by step. From a small assistant, he fought through the ranks and made it to a managerial position. There were plenty of women around him, but he remained single. I had suspected his orientation more than once. I never thought that the one he liked was my wife, Sophia. A fragment of my soul drifted like a balloon. I thought I was about to disappear, but at that moment, a cold northern wind blew me down and tethered me to the top floor of the Vivian Corporation building. It was then I realized that the woman I had a wild night with was none other than Vivian's daughter. I also found out that, like me, she had been ruthlessly slandered and humiliated over the past few days. The Vivian Corporation's business plummeted. In her despair, she even tried to take her own life, but she refused to leave so easily. The hatred in her heart kept her alive. She hated me so much, she cursed me to never find peace, even as a ghost. I guess that's why I couldn't leave. But after discovering the truth, she, along with me, embarked on a path of wild revenge. Marcus got hooked on gambling, and Sophia contracted an illness. When the dust finally settled, she poured 2 glasses of wine on my grave, one filled with the wind, the other taken away by it. But no one could end up unscathed. At the moment when hatred vanished, she lost all reason to live. A southern wind suddenly picked up on the rooftop, and that was my final attempt to hold her back. But in the end, I couldn't stop her. Just before she hit the ground, I was reborn. Chapter 4 Thoughts began to settle. I stumbled out of the hotel's side door. Elena was probably still dressing, unable to catch up with me in time, and this time, Sophia wouldn't be able to capture any evidence. I hailed a cab home. In the car, I opened a food delivery app and ordered a mix of meat, eggs, and vegetables. Time for my performance to begin. As expected, Sophia called. Her voice was filled with restrained frustration as she asked, "Where are you?" I controlled my tone and replied, "I'm home, sweetheart. What's up?" There was a pause on the other end. Then she said, "I couldn't find you at the company. Marcus is here, so I asked him to take me home." After hanging up, I emerged from the bathroom. I threw up 6 or 7 times before my dazed mind cleared a bit. By the time Sophia came home, I had already started cooking. She looked at me suspiciously and asked, "How are you making dinner?" "Marcus said you went out to a gathering." Marcus, walking in behind her, greeted me with the braised food in his hand. I gave him a subtle glance, and as usual, he smiled and played along. He said, "Sis-in-law, David must have missed you. He really knows how to care for people." At that moment, I couldn't help but admire him. A person's acting skills can really be flawless. On the surface, Marcus was respectful, even reverent toward me, but in reality, he was full of malice. I suddenly wanted to know how far things had gone between Sophia and him. After all, in my memory, Sophia hated him. She had clearly said that Marcus was immature, like a little brother in everything he did, and she didn't see any point in me continuing to mentor him, completely a waste of time. I don't know when, but her attitude toward him had changed. Chapter 5 At the dinner table, Marcus sat across from Sophia and me, digging into his food and occasionally complimenting my cooking. Sophia teased, "Don't forget who his teacher is." She sat next to me, coquettishly praising herself. I noticed something strange about her body language, so I casually continued eating and, with my other hand, secretly snapped a photo under the table. Then I said, "I'm feeling a bit dizzy. I threw up several times when I got home. You guys can eat slowly." I didn't wait for a response, quickly walking into the bedroom and shutting the door behind me. I opened my photo album and saw Sophia's little foot hooked around Marcus's leg. The two were getting cozy under the table. A man's dignity in that instant was utterly shattered. If it weren't for Marcus's provocation before I died in my previous life, I would have believed that I was the one who wronged Sophia, that I was the one betraying my marriage. I clenched my fists, veins bulging, struggling to suppress the anger and frustration rising inside me. I wanted nothing more than to confront them both and end it all right then and there, but that would be too easy for them. Besides, being reborn was for my own redemption, not to dive back into the abyss. I pondered for a long time before coming up with a devious plan. I lay in bed pretending to sleep until Sophia finished her shower and lay down beside me. I pretended to wake up, then reached my hand along her curvy body. She quickly pressed my hand down and whispered, "Honey, no, it's my period." I withdrew my hand, and placed it gently on her stomach, looking at her with sincere concern. Does it hurt? Should I make you some soup? After all these years, my increasingly busy work had made me neglect her, and in her eyes, I probably wasn't a good husband anymore. Every day, I was either on a business trip or coming home drunk. I was too busy to even follow through on the plan we had when we were newlyweds to have 2 children. I knew she had grievances, but that shouldn't be an excuse for her to betray me. If she didn't like this life, if she didn't like me, she should have talked to me about it. We could have parted amicably. She should have known that everything I worked for, all the money I earned, was for her, the girl who had been with me through thick and thin since university. I never spared a cent when it came to her, but instead, she chose to team up with my best friend to stab me in the back, forgetting all the past bond we shared. So now I would make her fall in love with me again, to the point of madness, to the point where she would be willing to give everything, even her dignity, for me. And when she loved me the most, when she was madly in love with me, I would discard her like a used tissue. Chapter 06, I wanted her to experience what it feels like to be betrayed by a lover, the sensation of living worse than death. I gently stroked her abdomen while my other hand wrapped around her, and I gazed into her eyes as I asked, "Do you feel a little better?" Her body was stiff, but her tone softened considerably. She replied, "Yes, thank you, darling." Her voice still felt distant, and I suspected she had promised something to Marcus, which was why she was so resistant toward me. The next moment, I kissed her forehead gently and said, "Wife, I've always neglected your feelings, and it's my fault. Now I realize that nothing is more important than you. So I'll let Marcus handle the business trip next week, and I'll stay and spend time with you." She furrowed her brow as if struggling for a moment, but still said, "But darling, Marcus's abilities are not as good as yours. I think it's better if you go instead. Don't delay the important matters, don't you agree?" I smirked inwardly, but my face remained full of indulgence. I said, "Be good, darling. I've got everything planned. Trust me." Afterward, I stood up from the bed and wiped my mouth in a place where she couldn't see. This, after knowing the truth, only made me feel disgusted. A while later, I brought the brown sugar water I had made and opened the door to the room. I crouched by the bed and said, "Darling, drink some brown sugar water and get a good night's sleep." Her eyes showed a flicker of surprise as she took the spoon and sipped a few mouthfuls. Then she asked, "Why? Why are you suddenly being so nice to me?" I gazed at her lovingly and smiled brightly. "I've been reflecting. I used to be busy making money, thinking that money would make you happy, but from now on, I'll change. I'll give you money, but love and care can never be lacking." Sophia smiled too. That smile seemed happy, but it also concealed a trace of guilt that was hard to hide. Chapter 07. The next day at the company's morning meeting, Marcus sat at the very back, working hard. To be honest, if it weren't for me, he wouldn't even have had a chance to sit at the table. Now holding his notebook, he was completely focused on listening to me speak, occasionally jotting something down. He looked like the model employee. Every time I shared an opinion, he would always be the first to stand up and applaud, exaggerating his praise a few times. His compliments were so exaggerated it made me feel uncomfortable. He used to always do this, and I just thought it was genuine admiration and worship. Although it was a bit awkward, I tolerated it. It wasn't until now that I noticed the other colleagues' faces always seemed so unnatural. At the end of the meeting, I reassigned his tasks, smiling. I said, "Marcus, quickly prepare the materials and book the tickets. This business trip is your chance to showcase your abilities. No problem, right?" He replied, "Wait, David, am I going alone? What about you?" He stared at me confused. I tapped the table and said, "If you have any difficulties, feel free to bring them up, but handle them yourself. By the way, at the company, there's only Mr. Bennett, not David. Next time it's better to think before you speak." My cold tone made him feel somewhat embarrassed. The colleagues exchanged glances and whispered. Marcus gritted his teeth and responded quietly, "Okay, Mr. Bennett." As soon as I returned to the office and sat down, he knocked on the door holding a cup of coffee, and with a flattering tone he said, "Mr. Bennett, about last night. It should have been me who took you home, but I had a terrible stomachache and had to rush to the bathroom. When I came back, you were already gone. You're not mad about this, are you?" Seeing through his clumsy attempt at flattery, I smiled as I took the coffee. I took a small sip and said, "Am I really that petty? After hearing this, he relaxed, scratching his head and smiling foolishly. He really knew how to play the game. I patted his shoulder. And everyone at the company has seen the efforts I've put into mentoring you. Some people will gossip behind your back. This time you're going alone on the business trip. Do well and prove to them that I didn't pick the wrong person, got it? He nodded and began speaking a lot of motivational words. Finally, he observed my expression to make sure there was no problem before cautiously asking. Yesterday when I rushed to the bathroom, I think I saw a beautiful woman bump into you. Are you all right? I narrowed my eyes and smiled, reminiscing. Yes, I've never seen such a beautiful woman before, but at the time, my stomach hurt so much I had to run to the bathroom and vomit several times. He frowned slightly, looking thoughtful and concerned. He asked, was it stomach inflammation? Let me get you some medicine. You should drink less alcohol and take care of your health. He really knew how to say the right things. I just didn't know if Sophia would still listen to him when he came back. Chapter 8. While Marcus was away on his business trip for a month, I began to think about the reasons behind the change in my relationship with Sophia. I used every means to win her over again. I invited her back to campus, walking together under the lush banyan trees. Walking leisurely beside her, I gently nudged her shoulder and said, Sophia, I heard that many boys are pursuing you. Should I start lining up for the chance? The woman bathed in light and shadow seemed momentarily dazed. Then in a playful tone, she pouted and said, You really know how to talk. I'll reward you with 50 cents. I took the opportunity to hook her arm with mine, our fingers interlaced. In the stillness, it felt as if time paused for a few seconds. I could see the faint smile in her eyes and the subtle intoxication. Not only that, I also took her to amusement parks, popular tourist spots, and trendy restaurants. I even carefully learned about good photo angles online, taking treasure-like photos of her perfect for her social media posts. With my meticulous care and companionship, our relationship quickly reignited. We walked in bustling crowds, and she would actively link her arm through mine, just like the sweet days when we were in love. But Sophia, the hand-holding, hugging, and romance we shared now were all built on a solid financial foundation. Don't you understand the saying, poverty makes everything difficult? I used your love as my motivation to work hard, to provide the life you wanted. Marriage is not just about staying in a bubble of constant love. It's trust, growth, and testing. Sophia still occasionally showed subtle expressions as she replied to messages beside me. At the dinner table, when I reached for a napkin, she suddenly reacted protectively, clutching her phone and awkwardly explaining, It's my best friend, the one you know. She's been in a bad mood recently, sending me long texts to complain. I can't ignore them. Can you understand, darling? I knew very well who she was talking to. I pretended to reach for her phone and said, Just reply quickly. I'll help you. She hurriedly hid the phone behind her back, smiling awkwardly. Darling, you wouldn't understand the secrets between women. And then as if to reward me, she planted a quick kiss on my cheek. How unlucky. Chapter 09. Sure enough, after some time, Sophia's attitude toward me improved a lot, and the frequency of her chats with that so-called best friend on her phone also gradually decreased. Clearly, Sophia's neglect had made that so-called best friend somewhat upset. She sent Sophia some photos of the two of them from the past, threatening her. I just happened to see it at that moment. She was in the bathroom taking a shower, the scent of candles flickering, and the room filled with an ambiguous atmosphere. She asked me if I liked the new pajamas she bought, the ones I had always liked. To be honest, Sophia was truly beautiful. Years had left no marks on her face. Instead, her every movement had gained a touch of mature charm. She took very good care of herself and knew how to dress. When walking down the street, men would often glance at her. She also knew how to be playful, how to tease me. Sophia's fingertips gently traced my arm, the slight friction of her body making me feel her warmth, a long-lost, unspoken understanding. I knew this was her invitation to express her deep love for me, but I didn't want to. The next moment, I took out my laptop and paused the ambiguous moment. She complained as she leaned over, saying, Darling, what are you doing at this time? You're still thinking about work. I gently rubbed her hair, taking out the trump card I had already prepared. I had already given her love and companionship, but something more important was ready, something that would truly move her. I showed her the thing that would completely touch her, 5 million in savings. I said, "Wife, I know you don't like your current job, and you've always wanted to open your own flower shop. Now this doesn't have to stay just a dream. Quit your job. You can use this money to fully plan the career you've always wanted." She stared at the amount of money on the screen, cupping her face with her hands, tears falling between her fingers. She was so excited she could barely contain herself, saying, "Darling, you understand me so well. I'm so touched. I think I love you to death." She buried her head into my chest and hugged me tightly. "But sorry, I've come to realize money is for women to see, not to be spent by them. In my past life, I was one step away from financial freedom. This bonus was something I had planned to surprise her with at the end of the year, but she doesn't deserve it." After saying that, Sophia once again tried to tease me, her hand beginning to wander lower. I tapped her on the head, pretending to be serious, and said, "Sophia, you're about to have your own business. This is an important investment. Hurry up and get up, make a plan, and let me see your thoughts." She laughed and said, "Yes, Mr. Bennett." With that, she confidently spent the entire night writing a plan at the desk. As for me, I slept soundly. Chapter 10. When Marcus returned, he had gotten much darker and looked very haggard. Though the process wasn't smooth, he still barely managed to complete the work. I especially praised him during the meeting. He grinned widely, saying, "Not at all, not at all. It's all thanks to Mr. Bennett's excellent teaching." I smiled and didn't respond. After work, I arranged a special dinner for him, and all the department colleagues were there. Of course, I also invited Sophia. "Marcus, as you all know," he began, holding his wine glass at the dinner table, "the client had a lot of unreasonable demands. I often had to stay up all night revising the plans. I really couldn't tell day from night, and every time I closed my eyes, I just wanted to go home. But then I thought of the company, of us all working hard together for this big family." Marcus spoke passionately, almost giving an award speech instead of sharing his work experience. Sophia, dressed in a light blue gown, sat next to me. The dress made her skin look like snow, and her face was even more exquisite and pure. I had specially asked her to dress up, using the excuse of needing her help to impress the female colleagues around me who had inappropriate thoughts about me. Marcus, seeing Sophia enter the room, stared at her with wide eyes, his tone becoming more firm as he said, "In any case, I will work even harder. Mr. Bennett is the person I respect most, and I will never disappoint his expectations." Everyone laughed and applauded, and the atmosphere became lively. Sophia sat beside me, and I purposely hugged her affectionately in front of everyone. My colleagues chimed in, "Mr. Bennett, your wife is really beautiful. I thought a celebrity had come." "Yeah, you two are a perfect match, a match made in heaven." Everyone was showering compliments on Sophia and me. Only Marcus lowered his head, silently drinking. After a couple of sips, he suddenly raised his head and said, "Come on, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Bennett, let me toast to both of you." One glass after another, Marcus was openly trying to outdrink me, wanting to establish some superiority at the dinner table. I played along, linking my arm with his and continuing to drink. I sipped half the glass and spat out half of it with a towel. When it seemed like it was almost over, I pretended to be drunk and needed to vomit, so I went to the bathroom and splashed some water on my face. In my mind, I estimated that Marcus would definitely make a move tonight. Even if Sophia wanted to break up with him, he would likely use this as leverage. While I was thinking, a stunning woman's profile suddenly appeared in the mirror of the men's restroom. I recognized her immediately. It was Miss Elena. She smirked and teased, "Big guy, I just saw your wife helping another man into a car." The scene was really explosive. Want to go take a look? Chapter 11. Most of the people at the dinner table had already left. Outside, the rain was pouring heavily, and the entire city's night was shrouded in a torrential downpour. The cold autumn air pierced through my chest. Sophia sent me a message. "Darling, I've arranged a ride for you. Go home first. My best friend just had another breakup, so I might be a little late. Wait for me, okay?" Before I could lock the screen, a curious little head appeared in my line of sight. I asked, "What are you doing?" I put my phone away, feeling somewhat confused. When did Elena catch up to me? She eagerly grabbed my arm and said, "What are you doing? Let's go catch them in the act." I was speechless. Why was she so interested in gossip? What did it have to do with her? Then I remembered how in the past life, she had cursed me to never find peace. I pushed her away and said, "Please behave yourself." She froze for a moment, then raised her voice. "What? Can't you talk properly? Are you acting like I'm some kind of thug? Such a shameless man, reacting so much. Could it be that you're gay?" She paused for a second, then nodded, saying with certainty, "No wonder last time when I lay in front of you, you couldn't even get excited." I retorted, "Cut it out. Couldn't it be that you just don't excite me?" As soon as I said that, I regretted it. After all, she was Elena. I had such a sharp tongue. Would she take revenge on me? She glared at me, then said, "Last time I didn't want to let you off the hook after you saw me naked. I had someone dig out your eyes, but after observing you for a few days, I realized it's unnecessary. You're already blind enough to not even know your wife is cheating on you." I was speechless, though I had to admit that in my past life, if I hadn't been blind, how could I have made such a huge mistake? How could I not have seen the signs? How could I have picked a wife like that in a subordinate like Marcus? I sighed deeply. She glanced at me, then suddenly started laughing. "Big guy, what's with that expression? Did I scare you?" "I'm just kidding, don't be nervous. Big sis is not from the mafia." This girl, she looked so much younger than me, but dared to call herself Big Sis. I frowned and walked toward the garage. I just wanted to know, how explosive was the scene really? Chapter 12. When I approached Marcus's SUV, I could hear some sounds coming from inside the car, but I couldn't make out the words. I crouched down, getting closer, and took out my phone to record. Just as I took a few steps, I heard laughter behind me that she couldn't suppress. I turned around speechlessly and saw Elena holding her mouth, shaking with laughter. I was really done with her. She turned a tragic human event into something so gleeful. Just as I was about to scold her, a woman's voice came from the car. It was Sophia, choking with emotion as she said, "Marcus, we can't continue this anymore. I've been suffering so much these past few days. I can't betray my husband." Marcus shouted in a lowered voice, "Have you forgotten our plan now? You want to back out? Do you think I'll let you go so easily?" Sophia seemed to be gagged, struggling desperately. "Don't do this, please." Then there was a shaking sound from the car. A moment later, Sophia spoke with a sob in her voice. "I can't keep making the same mistake. It was my fault before. I was too selfish, treating you as a substitute for him. Now I've realized the person I've always loved is my husband. Please leave, please." Marcus said, "Last chance. Give me one more, or I'll expose everything between us." Sophia refused. "No, I would rather die than do that." Then there were more rustling sounds. I lifted my phone. Elena was poking me from behind. She whispered, "I'm really curious. Let me see what expression you have now." I was speechless. I couldn't be bothered to respond to her. Everything was set, just waiting for the right moment. The next second, I suddenly stood up and kicked the car window, shattering the glass. Chapter 13. Both of them in the car turned to look at me, their eyes filled with panic. I had never seen Sophia like this before. Her face was completely red from shame. She couldn't look me in the eye, and was clearly very embarrassed. She stammered in an attempt to explain, "Darling, he's drunk." I ran into him halfway, and he said he'd drive me home. "He offered to take me back," Elena teased. "He was drunk and drove you? You two really have guts." I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. In my past life, when I was caught with her in bed, Marcus had stood there enjoying the show and adding fuel to the fire. But Marcus wasn't as I had imagined. He calmly said, "David, my sister-in-law said she likes me. So if you want to blame anyone, blame me." I couldn't resist. Sophia slapped him hard. Her face flushed with anger as she said, "You're lying. When did I ever say I liked you?" She tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear, and a single tear fell, giving her a pitiful rain-like appearance. She then said, "Darling, nothing happened between us." I stepped back and saved the video on my phone. I acted calm and composed as I gently lifted her out of the car, comforting her with, "It's all right, darling. I'm here. I'll take you home." The other three were frozen in place, especially Elena, who gasped, "Hey, are you out of your mind? She's been lying to you, cheating in your marriage, and you just let it slide? What kind of person are you? Are you a turtle or something?" Chapter 14. I ignored her in the rain and hailed a taxi. She sat next to me, one hand clutching my shirt sleeve, her lips tightly pressed together. When we got home, She hugged me from behind and said, "Darling, I'm sorry. Please believe me. I really didn't do anything wrong to you." I gave her a disappointed look and asked, "Do you still love me? If you do, why would you do this to me?" She still refused to admit to the affair and tried to twist the truth. "Darling, I really love you. I've always loved you. It's just that during that time, you were so focused on work that you ignored me. I was so angry and Marcus took advantage of that time to get close to me, comfort me, but nothing really happened. I went to him this time to end things, not what you saw." I slowly pushed her away and sat down on the sofa, lost in thought. I sat there in silence for a while, looking like I was struggling with some internal conflict about to make a decision. Before I could speak, Sophia half knelt beside me, grabbing my hand and choking up. "Darling, tell me what I can do for you to forgive me. Please don't leave me, okay? Give me a chance. Give our marriage a chance. I swear I'll never contact him again. I won't see him anymore. I promise to keep my distance from all other men. I'll be very obedient. Just please don't leave me." At this point, it was crucial to guide her, slowly giving some unclear hints to make her believe there was still a sliver of hope. When someone is in this desperate situation, they will grasp that last straw. I sighed and gently touched her hand, asking, "Sophia, I don't know if I can trust you again. You've lied to me so much. What kind of answer do you expect me to give at this point? Please just tell me, did you really do nothing wrong to me? If you still can't tell me the truth, then all the little hope I had left for you will vanish. And how can I face you, forgive you?" She trembled, looking at me with a mixture of fear and unease in her eyes. Deep inside, she was clearly caught in a whirlwind of endless struggle, but in the end, she surrendered. She closed her eyes, shaking her head, tears flowing uncontrollably down her face. Her voice trembled as she said, "I'm sorry." I was very satisfied, but still pressed further. "Sorry for what?" She bit her lip. "I did something wrong to you. I've always believed that an apology must be rooted in honest words because that's a signal, a memory. In reality, many times we may know deep down that we were wrong, but we just refuse to admit the truth of that mistake. This inner conflict weakens the guilt, and the mind instinctively tries to fix the contradiction, choosing the conclusion that benefits us. It even distorts the truth. When our will is at its weakest and guilt, like a virus, is eradicated by the immune system, it's different between someone saying they are wrong and someone believing they are wrong. Just like the difference between truly seeing a red mountain and imagining one. A person must first surrender on a spiritual level before taking action on the material level. I rubbed my temples, speaking slowly and clearly. "Sophia, my feelings for you have never changed since we've been together. Didn't I face temptations and tests in my daily work and life? But because of you, I've never looked, thought, or done anything that would hurt you. But what about you?" I paused, giving a bitter smile, and continued. "Sometimes I really feel like a failure. Even though you've done so many things wrong to me, I still can't let go of the years of feelings we've shared. Maybe I still love you, but I really can't trust you anymore. All along I've trusted you unconditionally." Chapter 15. When Sophia transferred all her money into my account, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. She said, "Darling, in the past, you trusted and cared for me unconditionally. I'm willing to give you everything I have, leaving no way out for myself. Maybe I don't deserve your forgiveness now, but in the days to come, I'll spend my life making it up to you." I accepted gladly, shedding fake tears of gratitude. From that moment on, I began to treat her coldly and hotly in turn, as if I didn't know how to face her. Sometimes I would flash her a smile, making her think everything could go back to normal. Other times, I would create excuses to turn cold, using silent treatment as a form of emotional cruelty. For example, on the first day I cut off her card, but the next day, I bought her a gift she had been longing for. Or I sold her car on one day, and then started picking her up from work the next day. In this tug-of-war, she grew more and more docile. Once someone who didn't even lift a finger around the house, she now made me 3 meals a day and took care of the housework without complaint, making sure everything was in order. She also became more humble. My slightest gesture, my words, or even a sigh would stir her fragile emotions. One time I was just sitting on the sofa, silently, not eating the meal she had prepared. She knelt by my side, nearly in tears, begging me to tell her what was wrong. pleading for clarity. As for Marcus, his skin was thick. He continued working, bringing me tea and flattering me constantly at the office. Finally, in front of everyone at a meeting, I fired him. Marcus angrily slammed his hand on the table, tearing off the mask. What do you think you are? You're firing me? I've been working hard for years, and if you're using this as an opportunity to settle scores, fine. I'll expose you, and no one will come out of this unscathed. The room filled with murmurs, and several people frowned. Marcus, stop being unreasonable. Mr. Bennett wouldn't fire you without reason. Yeah, Mr. Bennett's always taken care of you, and you're just trying to take advantage. I've been meaning to say this for a while. You're unreliable, and you bully the new hires. Have some shame. I took a sip of water and calmly said, You've repeatedly forged my signature and made decisions on my behalf, which led to company losses. If that's not enough, should I mention other things? He was furious, his face red with embarrassment. You're talking nonsense. Those were just minor contracts. After all these years of working for you, are you saying I'm targeting you just because I slept with your wife? The room went silent, and everyone turned to look at me. I raised an eyebrow and took out my phone, asking, So you're still in touch with her? He gritted his teeth and nodded. Of course, your wife can't get enough of me. She's been begging me to visit her at your place. I waved my hand for security to escort him out of the office. Dealing with someone like him required a different approach. While Sophia needed emotional stimulation to be broken, Marcus, a scoundrel, needed to be dealt with ruthlessly. No room for hesitation. I saved the recording and continued with my plan. Chapter 16. The evening glow looked like a soft oil painting. Elena came to find me. I had taken some time off and was busy furnishing my new place. She teased, Wow, you really have a devious mind. You've cleared out everything, moved your assets, and yet your wife is still sitting at the restaurant waiting for you to have a candlelit dinner. I had told Sophia earlier that we would have dinner together. In reality, I had already arranged for the movers to quickly take my things away. During this time, Sophia was in agony and guilt, speaking carefully, almost as if every word she said was a misstep. She was eager to mend our relationship, firmly believing that if she could touch my heart, I would forgive her for this mistake. I smiled. It's all about teamwork. After all, the court wouldn't grant her full custody and let her walk away with everything just because she cheated. Without your help, none of this would have been possible. I was truly grateful to Elena. Since the last time we were plotted against, she had been helping me investigate secretly and assess the liquidation of assets. She was resourceful, sharp-witted, and just as cunning as I was. Meanwhile, Sophia was still alone at the restaurant, sending me messages asking when I would show up. I ignored the repeated calls and blocked her number. Elena shrugged and said, You really are patient. I'd be dying to slap her a few times. You're something else, torturing her mentally, giving her hope, then dashing it, and going for the divorce in such a dramatic way. Scary. Then Elena's tone shifted, and she frowned at me. But if you hadn't been dragging your feet, I would have already called someone to take care of them. Elena still held a grudge from the last time she had accidentally walked into the wrong private room at a party, drank 3 glasses of wine that weren't meant for her, and was almost tricked by Marcus into creating a huge mess with me. She paused for a moment before continuing. Luckily, you didn't dare touch me. Otherwise, I would have gouged your eyes out. I smiled wryly at her sharp features. Any man who could hold himself back, then must be a god. She quickly looked away, her cheeks turning pink. Chapter 17. After I blocked Sophia, I got updates from her best friend. She told me that when Sophia returned to the empty house and saw the divorce papers, she went mad, crying all night, searching for me everywhere, at the office, at school, and even at the hotels I used to frequent. Sophia couldn't find me anywhere and ended up crouching in the middle of an intersection in despair. If it hadn't been for a friend pulling her away, she might have been in a car accident and sent to the hospital by now. Her friend begged me to meet her. She said, You've been through so much together. Even if you've decided to part ways, it's only fair that you meet and say goodbye in person. I refused. I'll meet her, but only on the day of the divorce. Seeing that she couldn't change my mind, Sophia finally agreed. On the day of the divorce, I met Sophia. She was wearing large black-rimmed glasses, so her expression was hard to read. Her small frame stood by the side of the road, as if a light breeze would knock her over. She hoarsely said, You finally agreed to meet me. I'll give you everything I have. I don't want anything in return. You can take the house, and if you want, you can even have my life. I just don't want a divorce. Please don't leave me. I shook my head. Sophia, it's over. She was silent for a moment, and then tears started to fall from her pale cheeks. She said, I just want to hear you say that you don't love me anymore. I replied, I don't love you anymore. I answered quickly, firmly. It was as if the last bit of strength had been drained from her. Her body wobbled slightly as she slowly walked alongside me. I thought she would resist, refusing to sign the papers, but she didn't. She signed the divorce agreement, agreeing to the condition of walking away with nothing. As she sat on the bench waiting to be called, she removed her sunglasses. Her swollen eyes gazed blankly into the distance, and she said, If I could turn back time, I would never make this mistake. But there are no ifs. After signing the papers, I felt a strange sense of relief. Sophia was still by my side. I should have restrained my excitement, but unfortunately, she noticed my mood, and her eyes reddened as she said, Do you really hate me this much? Why won't you even give me one last chance? I sighed and spoke softly. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. When Marcus's recording played, her face drained of color. She repeated, How could he say that? How could he say that? Then a flash of madness appeared in her eyes. She grabbed my arm desperately, her voice shrill as she screamed, Darling, he's lying. He's making it all up. I never contacted him. I shook my head in disappointment. Sophia, why are you still lying to me? I'm not lying. Please believe me, darling. I stood up, pulling her hands off me, my voice cold. Sophia, Marcus has already told me everything. Is this how you're proving your love for me? Chapter 18. After that, Sophia didn't come looking for me for a long time. Until one afternoon several months later, Sophia showed up at my company. She looked haggard, her eyes vacant. As soon as she saw me, she said, David, will you go see Marcus? He's in the hospital and wants to see you. I raised an eyebrow in confusion. Sophia continued, He's in critical condition and might not make it. I asked what happened. She explained, Marcus has been stalking me day and night, locking my door. I'm really sick of it. Do you know that feeling when there's a buzzing sound in your ears? That's what it's been like. He's been standing outside my door, shouting my name over and over, knocking on my window like a crazy person. After a while, it seems like he's gotten himself in trouble with some dangerous people. It's really bad. Don't you want to go see him? Listening to her rambling, I couldn't help but feel curious. I nodded and said, Fine, I'll go see him. Chapter 19. On the hospital bed, Marcus was covered with tubes. A white cloth was over his eyes, and when he heard movement, he asked, Is David here? The smell of disinfectant in the hospital was sharp and unpleasant. I walked up to his bed and said, If you have something to say, say it. He fell silent for a while before speaking slowly. David, I'm sorry I got lost in the moment. I used to admire you. I wanted to be as good as you, but I don't know when this admiration turned into jealousy. I was jealous of your ability at work, jealous that you have a beautiful wife. I kept thinking, how great would it be if Sophia had chosen me? At that time, I didn't dare to think about it, but I went ahead and did it. I used the misunderstanding between you and her to orchestrate an accidental meeting, trying to win her over, and I was proud of it. You know, that's sick satisfaction. I interrupted. I don't have time to listen to your soul-searching. Marcus chuckled weakly, his voice hoarse. After you fired me, I went to find Sophia. She wouldn't even look at me. I was unwilling to accept it. I thought I had already lost my job. I couldn't lose her, too. But she never gave me another chance. I'm a stubborn person. I won't give up on her, not until my last breath. Sophia stood silently listening. I asked, confused, What exactly are you trying to say? He struggled to shout. I, Marcus, am no worse than you. I can do everything you can. A childish rant. I responded, Enough, don't yell. You've done things I couldn't even do, but I certainly don't have the ability to destroy someone else's family. Also, if you survive this, go get your mental health checked. You're seriously unwell. I turned and walked out. Sophia followed me out of the hospital. She said, The doctors say he'll never see again. I stopped her and said, Are you feeling sorry for him? If so, why don't you just become his eyes? Sophia shook her head urgently, her eyes reddening as she said, That's not what I meant. Don't you understand? I'm just trying to prove to you that there's nothing between him and me. I want to prove to you that I'll do anything for you. I ignored her. She cried as she followed me, saying, Please don't be silent. You can scold me. I don't care. Why do you have to give me the silent treatment? Chapter 20. No sooner had she spoken than the sharp honk of a car sounded from the side of the road. A blue McLaren was parked, and Elena was sitting in the driver's seat, looking out at me. I left Sophia behind without looking back and climbed into the car. She chased after me a few steps, but stumbled and fell to the ground with a thud. Her cries grew louder, but I didn't pay attention. In the rearview mirror, Sophia became more and more blurry until she was completely out of sight. Elena asked, "So how does it feel?" "Pretty satisfying, right?" I knew she was doing it on purpose. Maybe she was feeling sorry for me. I sincerely thanked her. "Thanks." Elena laughed lightly. "What's the point of a thank you? You can start by paying me back the money you owe." I was puzzled. "What money do I owe you?" She smirked. "Are you trying to dodge paying? Last time you just put your clothes on and ran off, and I ended up covering the hotel bill." I chuckled. Was she really so hung up on the money? "Fine, I'll transfer it to you. But can we just forget about this? Don't you find it a bit awkward?" I said. At that moment, Elena and I shared an unspoken understanding, something like mutual transparency. She kept her eyes on the road, occasionally glancing at me. "Yeah, it's a little awkward. I was so mad back then I even thought about gouging your eyes out. But when I saw you sitting by the road that night, looking so hopeless and broken, I thought you were dying." I ended up softening my heart. I thought about it for a moment and replied, "Thanks for showing mercy." We drove in silence for a while, but I couldn't seem to find an answer to my thoughts. Elena's voice interrupted my musings. "All right, we're here." She parked the car by the side of the road. When I got out, she called after me, winking as she said, "Get a good night's sleep. Consider it a reset for your life. And don't forget you still owe me a drink."